Hello, everyone. Tim Collins, Executive Director of Global Game Jam and Seattle Indies, and welcome to the opening of Climate Jam 2023, where this year's theme is going to be around wildlife trafficking. I have Daniel Ruther here with me from Games for Our Future and the Woodland Park Zoo to help us welcome you all to this year's jam.
Yeah, welcome everyone. My name is Daniel Rother. I'm based in Seattle. I am so excited that we're doing another Climate Jam. This is our sixth one, and this one features our theme of wildlife trafficking. Climate Jam has been such a wonderful experience. We've had such a great group of people participate in the past, and so many games end up being animal themed, having to do with wildlife in some way. And so we're really excited this year to have this wildlife trafficking theme on top of Climate Jam. So to help us kind of dive into that theme a little bit more, you'll see some resources and things like that posted up on the Indiecade website. But as part of this kickoff, we also have Sarah joining us, who is the Senior Advisor of Wildlife Trafficking at the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. So she's going to be able to give us some additional context, get people mulling over the theme a little bit and thinking about how it's going to show up in their games.
Yeah, excited to hear from Sarah. Don't forget to go to the itch page, which is linked in the chat, to sign up for the jam. The jam itself will be happening on the Indiecade Discord. You can find all the information on Indiecade's website, the Climate Jam website, how to sign up on their Discord, how to find people to work with. There's a whole bunch of different channels there to help you make your teams, to help you find other people to work with, to talk to different mentors that are going to be available throughout the jam. You'll be able to ask us questions as organizers. And don't forget, if you would like to participate in the closing presentations that we'll do on Sunday, to make a YouTube video of your game, just like a gameplay trailer or something where you're talking about the game, or just a 2 to 3 minute walk playthrough of what you've done during the weekend. Just upload that on YouTube and we'll show it during the final presentations. Should we bring on Sarah next, or?
Perfect. Yeah, I think with that kind of context and those links in the chat, let's bring on Sarah Walker to talk about some things to know about wildlife trafficking.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. I am so excited to be here, and I'm extremely grateful that this year's theme is on wildlife trafficking. This is an issue that I've been working on for about 7 years now. It's very near and dear to my heart, and is something that a lot of people don't know about. So I would love to just give you a little bit of an overview of who we are and what we're doing and why wildlife trafficking is such a crisis. Are you guys seeing my slides? Okay, there we go. Perfect. So the Wildlife Trafficking Alliance is a program of the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, and we are a coalition of almost 100 partners, AZA accredited zoos and aquariums, of course, nonprofits, private companies that have all come together to combat wildlife trafficking. And wildlife trafficking is really one of the greatest conservation crises of our time. We hear a lot about climate change, rightfully so, biodiversity loss, deforestation. Absolutely, those are also very critical conservation issues of our time. But wildlife trafficking is one of those issues that doesn't get a lot of attention, but it should. And the reason is it's a primary threat to species. It's driving thousands of species to the brink of extinction. We've already lost so many due to wildlife trafficking and are poised to lose many more if we don't take more action to prevent it. It's also now one of the largest transnational crimes. It's actually, many put it up there as the fourth largest transnational crime between the drug trade, human trafficking, the arms trade. And it's been estimated to, it depends, but it's definitely estimated to be between $20 billion and $100 billion in criminal activity per year. It is typically carried out through organized criminal networks, highly organized, which destabilizes governments. It's disrupting communities. It's taking resources away from communities that could typically use those animals for ecotourism purposes. And it's also a threat to human and animal health, as we've seen through COVID-19 and other zoonotic diseases over the last several years. So just to put it into perspective, what we're talking about in terms of species impact, a UN report in 2019 came out that said 1 million species are now at risk of extinction. And similarly, a year later, the World Wildlife Fund Living Planet report has indicated that population sizes have dropped 68% since 1970. So we're really in a true crisis mode. And further, in that UN report, it identified illegal hunting and poaching as one of the primary drivers for this disruption. And so animals are being poached for their parts, but they're also being trafficked as live specimens. This is some seizure data that we did, analyzing 5 years of live animal seizures from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And you can see 27 animals per day. That's a very high number of animals that are coming in. This is, of course, of just what is detected. That's certainly not encompassing everything that goes undetected. It's also global, and whether you think so or not, the United States plays a huge role in the illegal trade. We are not only a destination, we're also an export country. We have native animals that are being exported out for the pet trade and other reasons across the world. We're also a transit point for wildlife and products coming up through Central and South America and over to Asia and other parts of the world. So it truly is global. Very rarely is a location in the world untouched by wildlife trafficking, and the United States certainly plays a very large role in that. I also mentioned it's big business. So this is just to show you where it scales in terms of the other transnational crimes. It truly is escalating in terms of its sophistication. It is no longer a poacher or two going out and collecting these animals. These are highly organized, sophisticated networks that are infiltrating local communities and using their global network to illegally trade these goods. They're used for all sorts of things. So animals are trafficked for food. They're made into jewelry, trinkets, clothing, household decor. People pick these things up from souvenirs. They're used in traditional medicines, little carvings and trinkets. And then also I mentioned the live animal trade. So there's a wide array of products that you will unfortunately see that are in the illegal trade. These are a couple of photos from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Wildlife Repository that's located in Denver. This is essentially the place that all of the confiscated products go when they are seized. And it's literally just a warehouse full of any kind of product you can imagine. A friend of mine works at the repository recently said, if you can imagine it, it probably exists here. So combating wildlife trafficking is very complex. There are a lot of different components that need to go into eradicating and reducing it. So obviously direct anti-poaching efforts need to take place. Increased enforcement and penalties are necessary. We need intergovernmental cooperation. We need public education, more laws and regulations. Corruption is an issue. We need the private sector to step up and engage in this issue and make sure that their own supply chains aren't being used for illegal activity. And then, of course, demand reduction efforts. So this is a big issue. It's a big topic, and it seems like it's a little bit scary and overwhelming, and how are we going to make a difference? And that's why we created the Wildlife Trafficking Alliance. So we are here to take all of our collective resources, social media channels, expertise, and put it all together into campaigns and initiatives to reduce demand, raise awareness, and try and stop wildlife trafficking around the world. So we work in 3 specific areas. These are our top 3-year goals. So we work to reduce consumer demand for illegally traded wildlife and wildlife products. We also work to advance laws, regulations, and policies that reduce illegal wildlife trade. And that's both on the national and international scale. And then we work with law enforcement to provide care and welfare for animals that are confiscated from the illegal trade. So that slide I showed you with all of the ways that that need to engage to combat wildlife trafficking, we aren't able to do everything everywhere. These are the very specific ways in which we think we as a coalition can make a difference. And just to give you a sample of a couple of projects that we have, this is in the Seattle International Airport. We did this project with Woodland Park Zoo, Point Defiance Zoo and Aquarium, and Northwest Trek. We installed this wildlife trafficking educational exhibit at the airport to teach travelers about wildlife trafficking, but also specifically what types of items they might find during their travels, what to avoid, how to identify them, and what to do if you come across it. This was our pilot exhibit that was installed about a year ago now, and we are installing similar exhibits at the LAX airport next month, Chicago O'Hare, and we're also working in other key airports. So thank you, Woodland Park and the Seattle airport, for giving us the platform to test this out. We also have a brand new campaign trying to reduce the live pet trade of animals that are coming in illegally, and also that potentially might have a zoonotic disease risk to them. So you can visit notapet.net to learn more about that. And then the Wildlife Confiscations Network, under that sort of third goal, this is a network that we're putting together with not just AZA accredited facilities, but universities and botanical gardens, wildlife rehabbers, essentially anybody who has the capacity and expertise to help provide any sort of care, welfare, short-term, long-term homing for these animals that are confiscated from the illegal trade. We're putting together a support network to support law enforcement so that they're not spending all their time finding placement for these animals. They come in sick, they come in injured, even if they do survive. So they need immediate care, immediate triage, immediate placement. And that's what we're hoping to provide through the Confiscations Network. So if you want to learn more about us, aza.org/Wildlife Trafficking Alliance. And thank you very much for your time, and thank you for your attention to this, and super excited to see the results of this climate jam.
Thank you so much, Sarah. I believe I'm having internet challenges. That was quite helpful. I would love to be able to ask you a couple questions, Sarah, after that, because I think that was fantastic. Sorry, I had an internet pause for a second there. But I'm really curious, Sarah. You described quite a big challenge in this, and it sounds like there's lots of work that's happening. Could you say a little bit about how you stay optimistic and about the future of wildlife trafficking and about the action that can happen in this space?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And it is a topic that's easy to get a little bit down and depressing, but I feel optimistic every day. There are so many wonderful organizations, companies that are really taking this seriously and working together. I think that's the key, working together. And there really are a lot of things that people can do to play a part. It really, all the key is consumer demand, right? So if there were no longer consumer demand for these products or these pets, then there wouldn't be a market for it. So we can all do our part by being informed, buying informed, making sure that you're not contributing, even inadvertently, to the illegal trade as you search websites, online marketplaces, or travel around the world. So there's really, you can also report wildlife crime if you see it. So there really are a lot of ways that you can feel empowered as a consumer to really put your wallet in line with your values. And that's really how we're going to change this. We just need to eradicate the market for it.
Seems like Daniel might be frozen. Having some internet issues. Yeah, are there any like easy tips that you can offer to people to maybe look out for those things?
Yeah, there's on our website, you'll see some information about how to report wildlife crime. If you're on a social media platform, they have reporting mechanisms where you can report something. So there's all sorts of stuff going on out there online, social media groups, things like that. It's happening sort of right there. And if you're aware of it, you might start to see it. And we have some information on notapet.net as well on how to be a responsible social media user, to make sure that you're not liking or reinforcing things that could potentially be illegal activity.
And I'd be really curious, we have a number of folks who are going to be making games along this theme of wildlife trafficking. And I think games are such an opportunity for storytelling and for being able to tell complex stories. What do you feel like are the wildlife trafficking stories that are out there at the moment? What narrative would you like to see being told about wildlife trafficking?
Oh gosh, so many. But I think some of the points that I would like to make is you hear a lot about the big charismatic species, the elephant ivory, the rhino horn, but this truly is happening to thousands of species around the world. Turtles, birds, it's not just the charismatic species. So I think that is one of the points that I would love to drive home with your audience is this. We're talking about multiple species, big, small, charismatic, non-charismatic, terrestrial, aquatic. We're not just talking about the elephants and the rhinos and the tigers, although they are very, very threatened due to the illegal trade. But it's all of those, and it includes, right now we're having a crisis with native North American turtles being poached from the wild and smuggled out of the country as pets in other parts of the world, primarily going to Southeast Asia. But that's right here in our backyard. They're stealing our biodiversity. And when I say they, I also want to reinforce the point that this is global. This is, there's a story, a man in Virginia just pleaded guilty to poaching turtles and selling them on the internet. So this is happening right here in the United States. This is not just an Asia problem. This is not just a Latin America problem. This is global. It impacts all of us. It impacts so many different species. It's now starting to impact our native species. And I just like to make sure that people know how pervasive and global that it truly is.
Oh, you're muted.
Gives the notification. I want to say thank you so much for joining us and for giving our jammers such a great overview and some context about wildlife trafficking, as well as some resources from there. We have on the Indiecade Climate Jam website a link to that exhibit that is at the Seattle Tacoma International Airport, so you can see some of those images a little bit closer up. And then we also have 2 videos there from Kirsten Schwartz, who's the Director for Government Affairs and Advocacy at Woodland Park Zoo. So you can see some additional deeper dive about wildlife trafficking. Thank you so much for joining us, Sarah. I really appreciate your time, both to join us in this context, but also just for all the work that you do to combat wildlife trafficking in general.
Back at you, and thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, people found that information useful, and go to the website that Sarah mentioned to find more information about it. And you can look on the website link below of vindicate.com/climate-jam. Find all the information that we have there from the AZA, as well as a few other folks who have contributed information that you can use when you're thinking about making your games, and add some more detail there. Up next, we have a brief message from MJ Johns. They are the organizer of Greenlight Jam, which is another game jam that IndieCade will be running in partnership with the Greenlight Jam folks in June and July of this year. You can take your game that you make here at Climate Jam and work on it some more. Greenlight Jam is a 5-week long event with different milestones that you have to make. It's more focused on the actual full production cycle of making a jam, and each milestone focuses on like a different aspect of what you would do if you were making a full commercial release. So if you really are excited about what you work on this weekend, you can find out more information about that. And we have a little video that MJ sent us that we'll show here now.
Hey everyone, hope you all are excited and ready to start jamming, and good luck with all of your projects this weekend. I wanted to take a moment to tell you all about another upcoming game jam later this summer called Greenlight Jam. Greenlight is a little bit different than a traditional jam, whereas rather than spending just one weekend working on a project, we actually spend 5 weeks working on a project. But it's not just like a long game jam, it's actually very structured, and you can almost think of it as 4 separate game jams, where each sub game jam within it has a structure and a goal of completing one step of the development process, or what we call sprints. So at the beginning, there would be the concept and ideation sprint, where you're coming up with ideas and coming up with references. And then there's the prototype sprint, where you're prototyping a lot of different ideas and trying to see what works. Then there's the production sprint, where you are actually making things happen and getting things done. And then lastly is the release jam, where you are publishing or releasing your game. The Greenlight Jam is going to take place June 16th through July 23rd, and we'll have more information for you if you're interested in joining, but I hope you will consider joining this jam later in the summer. And once again, good luck on all of your Climate Jam projects this weekend.
Great. Thanks, MJ, for that great information. And don't forget to follow the IndieCade social medias and watch their Discord for more info about Greenlight Jam. You can find out all you need to know on that. And we're about to wrap things up here. We have our friend Dargan from the University of Washington, Earth Lab. We've worked on all the different versions of Climate Jam and Games for Our Future since I think 2018 now.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure to have Dargan join us.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm so psyched for this weekend, and just like incredibly excited to see what teams come up with for this new theme. Yeah, we just had like so many terrific, I feel like the jam is getting better every year, and so much cool stuff is possible with this new topic. It's been interesting. I come from more of the climate perspective. So to think about how is wildlife trafficking related to climate, it has been really, really fascinating for me to think about. If you don't mind me just sharing a little story, I just last week, I was able to see this fantastic author, Robin Wall Kimmerer is her name. She's a scientist who looks at things both from the Western science perspective as well as from an indigenous perspective. She is able to kind of take like moral perspectives on things and, think about how indigenous wisdom or connections to particular places is so, can often give you a very different perspective, right? I think in a lot of ways, we're in the climate space that we are because of commodification of nature, commodification of people, right? Being willing to subject folks in, highly polluted areas to tons of coal exhaust, right? In a way to get people, electricity in a certain way, right?
Right.
And I think animal trafficking is in some ways like a similar thing, right? It's looking at species only for their value to what can they be sold for, right? And I think in that way, a lot of the solutions are kind of similar too. I did actually write a little song
Nice.
about species that was inspired by the jam. So I'd love to be able to sing that to y'all.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Always look forward to that.
All right. So again, this is very much like inspired by that talk. Kimmer was suggesting that we even need a new pronoun to talk about animals and plants. Because she said that you need that when we refer to something that's living is it, right?
Yeah.
It really makes it seem like it's far away from us, right?
Exactly.
So in fact, we're just animals too, right? So she suggested that in her indigenous language, Potawatomi, that kid is the pronoun that could be used, and then the plural of that would actually be kin, right? So then it's like, oh yeah, these are our relatives, right?
Right.
So this song is about seeing animals as kin. Here we go. A little bird tweeted at me one day. She said to start horsing around. If you think you're so different from us, just look down upon the ground. Mother Earth and Father Sky give us both all we need. All this extraction everywhere is just driven by your greed. You need to begin to see animals as kin. Then we can begin to get out of the state we're in. I'll be a monkey's uncle. In some ways we all are. When we see animals as kin, we'll have a world we can coexist in. I still watch the birdies and listen to what the critters say. I heard it straight from the horse's mouth. He answers me with yay or nay. I even talk with the trees, they can communicate too. And from aspen to zebras, from cacti to kangaroos, I think you should please make a monkey of me. I take it as a compliment. We should all be so playful to save the environment. So be it cool cat or go beast mode. Be like a chicken and cross a road. Start to see where humanity make a world we can coexist in. When we see animals as kin to make a world we can all live in. Yes, a world we can coexist in. All right.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. Always appreciate your songs.
Absolutely
Right
amazing.
Yeah.
Hopefully people are
just a little
inspired.
inspiration, right? To embrace the animal within for this game jam, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So don't forget, go to the website, indicate.com/climatejam, learn about more resources from the AZA, from other mentors, learn how to sign up on the itch page. Also, Indicate is still having submissions open for their big festival that's coming up in the fall, and I think October is when it usually happens. And you can go to indicate.com and register to have your game potentially shown at one of the world's largest independent game festival. It's just amazing events every year. We're so happy to partner with Indicate. The folks there, they do great work. I've seen like some of the most amazing games I've ever seen at Indicate events over the years, and I'm always excited to see what they show next. And maybe your game will be one of them, and maybe the game you make this year at the Climate Jam will be showing up in Indicate next year or years down the road. Like, you never know what could happen. And go learn more about Greenlight Jam and just all the cool stuff that Indicate has going on. Yeah, excited to see what people make and what comes out of this.
It's going to be great. I hope to see a lot of folks on Discord sharing their progress, making teams and things like that. I will definitely see folks on Discord this evening, where 5 o'clock Pacific time, so in 4.5 hours, Kirsten Schwartz, who's one of our mentors, will come join and talk a little bit more about wildlife trafficking for anyone who was thinking about how it plays a role in their game. But there's also lots of opportunities on Discord to post your work in progress, get some playtesting help, and show off all the cool things that you're working on while you're doing them.
Yeah, and thanks again to Rebecca Rochev for making the artwork for this year's jam. She did a fun little poster that's on our itch page and on the website. Thanks to her so much for that. I think that's about all on our end. We have just look for the Climate Jam 2023 category on the EDK Discord. There's a whole bunch of channels there to show your work, to find people to work with, to ask us questions. And you can find that on indicate.com/Discord, which I see is misspelled in the bottom. It's DISCORD. So yeah, thanks everyone, and go make games.
Yeah, go make some games and follow along on the devlog as one of our developers makes their game and talks all about it in the process. It's one of the channels you'll see on Discord.
Yeah, local Seattle developer Chris Doherty, who's been doing some awesome climate-related games. I'm sure whatever he makes is always interesting, and he'll have a lot of interesting insight to share with you all as he's jamming this weekend.
Have a fun weekend.
Good luck.
See you all on
Good luck,
Discord.
all.
All right. Yeah, see you all on the Discord. Good luck, everybody.